Alright guys, welcome back to the 107th episode of this review series where I review everything in Fortnite Save the World. For this episode, I'm going to be doing a review on the Super Shredder. First, for the perks I put on it, for the first one, we got crit damage, crit rating, damage, fire rate, or reload speed. And I went for a crit build, which means 1 crit rating and as much crit damage as you can put on the weapon. And so for this one, I put crit damage. You can put crit rating, and then for the 4th perk, put crit damage. Just make sure you don't have 2 crit ratings or 2 crit damages, just have 1 of each. And then the reason I didn't choose damage is because a crit build does more damage than flat damage. And then fire rate isn't really needed because you're just shooting faster, but the gun is already pretty quick and you're just doing less damage if you choose fire rate instead of crit build, so it's just wasting bullets. And then we got reload speed, and the reload, it's alright, and like you just do more damage with the crit damage, so yeah. And then for the 2nd perk, we got reload speed, durability, magazine size, weapon stability, or damage. And I could see like reload speed or damage. The reason I chose reload speed is because it's kind of slow, so I just had this for a bit faster reload. And then durability, the reason you don't choose that is because it's just a waste of a perk, because it just lasts longer. But like you could just make a new weapon, and this perk could be something that actually helps you in battle. And then magazine size, it just, don't choose this because you could just reload faster, and with magazine size you'll be reloading slower, and the reload is already pretty slow, so yeah. And then weapon stability just helps with recoil, but like just get good at aiming. And then damage, you could choose this because like the damage just increase it higher, but it's a sniper rifle with shotgun, so the damage is already pretty insane, so I just went with reload speed. And then for the element, you can have energy, fire, nature, physical, or water. And fire is good against nature enemies, nature is good against water enemies, and water is good against fire enemies. And then energy is good against any element of enemy, except the damage is reduced, so it's only 75% damage to elemental enemies, instead of the 100% to like fire to nature, nature to water, or water to fire. So yeah, and then physical is good against any not any element, it's good against enemies with no element. So like blasters, takers, flingers, lobbers, sploders, and I think that's it. And so they always spawn with no element, so if you're mainly going against them, then choose physical, or if you're just going against enemies with no element, then choose physical. But I just went for energy because it's all around good for elemental enemies. And then next we got crit rating, crit damage, damage, headshot damage, or magazine size. And as I said before, you can either have crit rating or crit damage here. Just make sure you don't have 2 crit ratings or 2 crit damages, only 1 of each. And then damage does less damage than crit build, so don't choose that. Headshot damage, you're not always hitting those headshots if you're not really that good at aiming, and sometimes enemies aren't facing you, so you won't even be able to get their head. So just go with the crit build, because all around you can just hit anywhere and you can hit a crit. And then magazine size, don't choose that, because then you won't have the full crit build, and also it makes you reload slower because you have to reload more bullets into the gun, so just don't do that. And then for the last one, we got damage to afflicted targets, damage to missed monsters and bosses, damage to slowed and snared targets, or damage to stunned, staggered, and frozen or knocked down targets. And choose this depending on your final perk. So if your final perk causes affliction damage for 6 seconds, or if the final perk slows and snares the targets, then go with damage to afflicted targets or damage to slowed and snared targets. If your final perk is like it does 5 headshots and you get extra weapon damage, or headshot damage causes explosions, then just recycle those weapons because they're not the best super shredder that it could be. So I just chose damage to afflicted targets because my last perk causes affliction damage for 6 seconds. And now for the hero loadout. For the commander, I'm using Rabbit Raider Jonesy because what he does is increases sniper critical damage by 225% with his commander perk Sure Shot Plus. And this is really good because I put a crit build on this, so that means whenever I hit a crit, it'll do extra damage. And with Sure Shot, you do a lot more extra damage, so it's just really good. And then we got the team perk Blast from the Past, which removes all shield and increases max health by 200% and requires 2 dinosaur heroes. And shield, it's not really that big of a deal, like getting it removed, not important, because shield only makes up a little bit of your health. And also with Blast from the Past, you get increased max health by 200%, so you're running at 300% health at all times, unless like you take damage. But like with this amount of health, you're gonna be in the battle for a long time, and you could just get hit a lot more, and it's really good. And then we got for the support team Saurian Might from Rex Jonesy. And what he does is every 1 second adds 3% of current health to damage a next ranged weapon hit. So with Blast from the Past, you get a lot of extra health. And with this, the higher health you have, the more damage you'll be doing. So that's really good with Blast from the Past because you'll just be doing insane amounts of damage. And then we got Saurian Hide from Prehistoric Izza, and what she does is while shield is depleted, increases armor by 33, and as I said before, Blast from the Past removes her shield, so shield is always depleted, so that means you always get that increased armor. So on top of the extra health, you get also some extra armor, like forever, so you're just getting hit a lot more, and you'll be staying alive a lot more. And then we got Quickscope from Redline Ramirez, and she increases sniper damage by 17%, and this is a sniper, so it'll be doing extra damage. And then we got Plasma Arc from Cyberclops, and what he does is energy damage has a 20% chance to zap nearby enemies for 58% of damage dealt. And if you choose energy on this weapon, then you're gonna be using this. And what that does is whenever you hit an enemy, you have a 20% chance for that energy damage to zap a nearby target. So what this is really good for is for AoE horde clearing. So whenever you hit a husk, you have a chance for it to zap, and if you just keep shooting, you'll just keep zapping all the targets around it. And it's pretty good because instead of just hitting one enemy, you'll hit multiple, and you'll just be doing easy clearing of the hordes. And then lastly, we got Survivalist Jonesy or Birthday Brigade Jonesy, and they both do the same thing, which is eliminations heal you for 39 base health over 3 seconds. Duration refreshes with additional eliminations. And so this means the more kills you get more regeneration just piled on top of each other. So it's not like more health getting regen, but just more time regenerating. So the regeneration rate is the same no matter how many kills you get, but it just increases the duration. So this is pretty good because it keeps your health high. And then combined with Saurian Might, the more health you have, the more damage you do. And then with Survivalist, the more damage you do, the more health you get. So it's just assisting each other. And anyway, the gameplay you're seeing in the background is a power level 124 retrieve the data mission with the modifier epic mini boss, and I was joined with one other player. But anyway, I used to use this weapon back in like Stonewood and Plagerton. Then like in Canny Valley, it started underperforming, so I recycled it. But nowadays, they started buffing the classic guns that aren't really that good anymore because new guns just keep one-upping themselves and stuff is really good now. So they just buffed this one and it's really good now. So first, let's talk about battling high health enemies with this. And normally with shotguns, the main problem is them being farther away, where you would have to get up close to them, and by then the enemy is already attacking you. But that's mainly with like blasters and flingers because they have higher health and like they have a ranged attack. But this weapon is classed as a sniper, so that means you can fight from long ranges. But then there's horde fighting, which might be a bit complicated because this is a sniper. But remember, it plays like a shotgun, although not being the fastest shotgun like a Room Sweeper or Tiger Jaw, with its fire rate being able to shoot consecutively, taking longer than a second. But then remember, you're using Cyberclops, and if you put the element energy on the weapon, like I did, then whenever you shoot an enemy, it has a chance to zap nearby enemies for half the damage, and that might not sound all that good, but if you keep firing, then it keeps zapping and making horde clearing really easy. So yeah, this weapon, I would say definitely pick it up, because it's really fun playing like you're using a shotgun, but also being able to hit targets from a longer range. And you can use this from like Stonewood to Twine, because it's able to compete in the higher areas now because of the buff that Epic did to it. And also, it's in the classic set, so you can research this at any time once you get 100 flux. But yeah, anyway guys, if you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because I do these review videos 3 times a day. And also like, comment, and share so that more people can see my videos. But anyway guys, I'll see you next time.